say go live, and I'll have to.
No kitty.
Uh oh. Somebody just subscribed or became a member, I think. All right, my internet is not great tonight. Bear with us, but this is Pawco Tacos podcast, and we are here with Aaron Ramsby. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing okay. How about you?
I'm pretty good. Today, we are talking to him about his book series. The first book is Ruin of Ivory or Ivy. Can you tell us a little bit about the series?
Okay, so Ruins of Ivy started out as a series that I wanted to write for my nephew.
Right.
And coming from the 80s, I grew up with tons of post-apocalyptic stuff. Mad Max, after the bomb stuff, crazy stuff, right?
Right.
But these days, we don't deal with nuclear weapons as much. We deal with GMOs or genetic engineering or crazy stuff like that. And I thought, hey, I'll write a book about genetic engineering. And then COVID struck.
Oh, man. So did that put a damper on things?
Well, apparently no one likes to read a book that's about a plague during a plague. Go figure.
I can imagine. Hold on one second. Trying to get my stuff together because for some reason the chat is not popping up.
Okay. Well, take a little time.
Oh man, what is going on here?
Oh, while you do that, I'll just continue my story.
Yeah, dude, go
that
ahead.
way we don't have dead air.
Right.
Well, because I couldn't do the original plague story that I had in mind, I just ran it forward for a couple hundred years until it got interesting again. And then I had this story about this post-apocalyptic world that nature has gone insane. I mean, I don't want to give any spoilers, but when you get attacked by ants the size of a Volkswagen bus, that's kind of scary.
Yeah, imagine. So, my next question would be, you have a second book out as well, and you got a third book coming out in January, right?
Next year. I want to say early or mid-January, but
welcome to Mr. Ponsto chat.
You know how
make sure you subscribe.
These days, you think it's going to go out, but things happen. So I don't want to put any really hard date on that right now.
Right.
But it should be early next year.
That's what's up. So you have, let's see. You had obstacles with COVID. Did you have any other obstacles come around that you wasn't expecting?
Yeah. To be honest, all my life I've struggled with English. I've flunked that class time and again.
I could understand.
In high school, during my last school event in Quest Academy, I ended up having a teacher that changed my life, who basically said, Aaron, you could do this. You could do anything. And because of him and the people around me who believed in me, I wrote a book. Then 2. And now 3.
Wow, that's awesome.
So I think the biggest complication I've had is by trying to overcome my own personal obstacles.
Right. I can understand that. So your characters are actually like half animal, half human, right? So,
all of them. Let's be honest. Some of them are.
Some of them are. Yeah, some of them are. So, in your childhood, did any of these characters that you have, the kids that you were around or anything, did they kind of inspire you as characters in the books?
Everyone wants to say they're not putting self-inserts in there, and I've been accused of putting self-inserts, and it's funny because it depends on who is telling me and who reads it. So one person thinks that I'm the main character and she's Maya. Another character or another person I know thinks that every character in there is part of me. To be honest, no. I've kind of taken elements of everyone I know, even you, Mr. P, and throw it in there where I
Yes,
can.
yeah, and if y'all are new to my channel, Aaron Ramsby has actually put Paco Tacos into a book. That's why our Paco Tacos podcast is named Paco Tacos Podcast. So we're really excited about getting put into a book. And he also has got new characters, right, that's coming?
I have two new characters coming. I have Vincent and Mr. Bones, and they're going to show up in book 4. And then Paco's Tacos should show up in book 5.
That's awesome. We're really stoked about that. So, uh, let's see.
Well, why don't you tell them where I got those names for those two new characters?
Yes, my Bones is actually my orange cat's name, and the bat, which is Vincent, is my wife asked if he would put that into the book, and he did. So we're super stoked about those.
Well, how could I not? You guys have been a big element and a big focal point to want things that your entire community has been so supportive and open and begging me for hard copy books.
Right. So
How could I not do something nice?
you said each book has like Easter eggs in it.
Yes. Each book has at least 2 Easter eggs.
Without kind of collaborating or giving anything away, can you kind of tell us a little bit about that?
Okay. Not give them away. I grew up in my childhood in the 80s. There's a lot of action science fiction movies from the 80s to now. So if I don't know, liked a movie and wanted to pay homage to it, I would try to not make it blatant, because I mean making it blatant could get me in trouble, and
Right, absolutely. Absolutely.
I would efface what I enjoy about it. But I try to pay homage to some of those movies that I grew up with that helped make the book what it was.
Kind of inspired you as a kid, you know what I'm saying? I understand that. Now, young people that are wanting to be authors, you got any advice for them?
Yes. Doing your research. But at the end of the day, you can have people trying to tell you what the story should be about. Just know that only you know how to do that.
OBS just died and then came back.
Is it still active?
I have no clue. I haven't been able to see nothing. I can't see my chat. Can't see nothing.
Okay. Well, while you mess with that, I will...
We might have to start all the way over.
Oh, we're still live.
Are we?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can see you.
Well, maybe it just
Cannabis says we're good.
Wow. Internet issues.
We're buffering in and out, but Cannabis says we're good.
Okay. All right. Well, awesome. Let's see. Where was we at? Do you see any new characters besides Bones and them coming in the future?
Oh, yes. There is a very important villain that's going to be showing up in book 4.
Oh, that's cool.
That will change everything going forward. Book 4 and 5 change everything. And for those who've read the series, they know I'm not afraid of killing anyone in my books.
Right.
And let's just say my evil face is showing up when I'm thinking of book 4 and 5.
That's awesome.
Some really bad shenanigans are going to happen soon.
That's going to be awesome then. Yeah. Um, let me think. My thing is, as a content creator, like a lot of times that a lot of people don't see the background of what we do and everything. So sometimes depression hits. Has that ever been a factor for you or anything?
Yeah. So when you write a book, they don't tell you how alone you can be,
Oh yeah,
because writing a book is a very uh, personal thing where you can't really reach out to many other people because you're the one who knows the story the best.
right.
And I would recommend for anyone trying, don't don't set a pace that doesn't work for you. Some people say write every day. Some people say write in spurts. And what works best for you, but make sure you are always interacting with people because the more people you interact with, the better that story is going to be.
Right, absolutely. That's same thing with content creating. Um, my view is being an author would have to be, isolating at times, because you have to spend a lot of time writing it out, typing it out, and all that. So I could see where people would get depression and anxiety and all that. So I could understand that completely.
Yeah, but at the same time, when you're a storyteller, you gotta try to write something that's going to inspire people. And if it doesn't inspire you, if it doesn't bring real emotions from you, how can you get it from your audience?
Okay.
So sometimes you just kind of hold on and just struggle through. And then when you get done with that, whatever you're writing, take a step outside and it's like fresh air. Finally,
Have you had any positive things happen to you since you've written your first book?
yes, actually. There's someone special in my life. Sorry.
Take your time. That's fine.
I know who they are, and without them, I don't think I'd be as far as I am. As far as I am into this thing. Um, they've always stood by my side, good or bad. I mean, come on, you tell someone you're going to write a book, you sit down and you take hours and hours out of everyone's life. It's kind of rough.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But it really shows you who really cares,
Absolutely.
especially those who back you. I mean, you tell someone you're going to write a book, like, oh, everyone says that. Great.
Right.
Good luck. But it's even after the second book, people are like, okay, so when are you going to stop? But it's those special people out there, those that you never forget.
Now, is that your book, your second book behind you there?
Yes.
Can you show everybody what that looks like? Because that looks awesome.
Well, here's a problem. And I'll tell you this. I'll show you my first book right here.
Yeah.
Now, book one, what you see on the cover is actually in the book.
Oh, that's cool.
So the problem is, do you really want me to spoil book two?
Not if you don't
that
need
what-
to.
Is that what your audience is looking for?
I doubt it. I imagine they want to read the first one beforehand.
Okay, well, when you read book one, there will be a scene in the book specifically put in there
For that.
that mimics this. And I'll tell you the reason why. My artist, Jeff Brown, one of the best artists in the world to work with. Easygoing guy, top of the line science fiction author, or not author, but book designer and fantasy creator. He and I sat down and said, hey, I'm tired of these books that pull a bait and switch. Let's put something on the cover that's in the book.
Oh, that's
And we've done
awesome.
it for the entire thing.
So, why? So, do you see these drawings or whatever before You finished the book?
Yes,
Oh,
actually. Funny story. Book one, he and I sat down and he does a sketch during the first meeting, and we originally had a tank with them walking around it. And he came back to me a couple weeks later and he's like, Aaron, you mind if I there? And it's like, yeah, that's not a problem. Go for it. That's really cool. I like that idea.
yeah, that's cool.
So I get it back and it blew my mind. And I'm like, okay, this image does not fit the quality of my work. I need to rewrite this book from scratch. And I did.
Oh, you did. That's awesome.
I wrote it from scratch to be able to fit his artwork. Because it inspired me to be better. And while he probably has never heard this, but hopefully he will soon enough, every time he gives me a cover, it pushes me to make the next book all the better.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So he kind of inspires you just by his drawings.
Well, I mean, how could you not?
Right.
I mean, I've seen book 2, I've seen book 1, and I've seen book 3. And book 3, wow.
Really? That's awesome.
I let him run free with some ideas. I said, hey, I need this. And I need Flint fighting it. And he's like, okay, what's the setting? And I'm like, I need him to do this and this. He's like, okay. And he gave it back to me. And I'm like, mind blown. It was crazy.
That's awesome. That is so cool. So have y'all two always been friends, or?
No, actually, I looked him up because of my gaming experience.
Oh, ain't that?
I know of him through his D&D work.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Let's see. You know, you hear of people saying that they went for one thing and then it turned out to be something else. So, was you actually trying to go for gaming and making games, and then it just turned into being an author? Or?
Well, that's kind of a sad story, and I'll tell you why. All my life, apparently, I've enjoyed stories. But growing up, I couldn't see very well. So maybe 10th or 11th, when I was 10 or 11 years old, we realized I couldn't see because I needed glasses. So this entire time I'd been going to school, having terrible grades because I couldn't see the chalkboard up front.
Oh, wow.
So I never really got into reading until 14. And then, stupidly, I pick up Stephen King's It. Great book for those who like Stephen King. I used to love him. I would read anything he put out. But at 16 or 14, picking up an 1,100 and something pages book and reading it through the summer, I swear I aged 4 years.
I can imagine.
And, back then, hey, being a writer was impossible. Only big people like Stephen King become writers.
Right.
So I didn't get into writing, and my English sucked, but I needed to work on it. And I didn't have that experience in high school yet. So I decided to transfer towards more gaming, like writing D&D books or writing video games. So later in my life, I ended up getting a bachelor's of science in game design and art. And I just was never able to break into the video game development. So I started with card games and then had some hits and misses.
Right.
And then COVID hit, and it's like, well, I got to do something else. I don't want to blow the bank on this. So I started writing, and lo and behold, it was what I was always searching for.
Okay. Okay, so Maggie said that if any of the members have questions, she'll send them to me through my Discord. Thank you, Maggie. We really appreciate you. Let me get back to where I can see him.
Yeah, no, I'm cheating. I have it on my phone, so I can see. Let me see. I can see that RB20 guy asked me a question.
What did he say?
Even though, Mr. Pons, you may not be aware of this, but everyone can see your Discord chat.
What?
Yeah.
How in the world is that happening?
Now it's back. Now it's back. So RB20 guy asked me this: What
Oh,
authors
because I
or
pulled it up.
sci-fi? Yeah. What authors or sci-fi fantasy books inspired your story or writing style?
Ooh,
Oh,
that's a good question.
that's hard to say. So RB20 asked me what inspired me to write, science fiction or fantasy, and some of this journey does start when I was 14. So I ended up getting pneumonia, really bad. Had to go into the hospital for a week. This was before they had the good food like they have now. I mean, food's not great, but believe me, it's good compared to what it was.
Right.
And I never really had a big appetite. And I was sick. I was hungry as all could be. Not gonna lie. So I just stopped eating. Nothing looked good. It was just blah, gross. I mean, I've had slime before, and that made slime look good.
Ugh.
Okay. So my grandma came in one day, and she's holding this little book, and she says, "Aaron, I'm going to read to you, and when I stop, you need to take a bite of something." I'm like, "Okay, what are you doing, Grandma?" So she started reading me The Hobbit.
Oh, wow.
I had seen it on TV, and it was a really inspiring story, but I never realized it was a book. And throughout that week, he would leave hoarse every day. Apparently, the doctors thanked her every single day for doing something that no one else could. But he taught me the power of story. Even though I was always trying to angle for it, not realizing it. He kind of inspired me to want to write fantasy. And then later on, I mean, I'm a kid from the 80s. We grew up with Robotech. We grew up with
Star Wars.
Thundercats.
Star Trek.
Transformers.
Yeah. All that.
Godzilla. I mean, we had so many amazing science fiction and fantasy things going on. Then I read H.G. Wells' The Time Machine, and it just spiraled. I mean, once I started reading, it just kept going.
That's
And
amazing.
I haven't looked back.
That's amazing. So was you like so in the 80s you had to be like in like 10 to teenager years and all that, so
When I was, let me see, 4, almost 5 in the 1980. So I would have been about 14, 15 by the time it
oh, so you
finished
got to
out.
see all the good horror movies and everything. Man, that's awesome.
Mhm.
That is so awesome.
Like going to a best friend's place while they're watching Predator on TV, and me being like 10 or 12 years old, not knowing,
Right.
just sitting down watching this Predator gut people. I
So,
think it was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
so you was talking about D&D. Was you a big D&D player back then? Or was that like in the
Okay.
90s?
Now, I have to say, kids, do not follow in my footsteps. Okay? But I struggled with school because I didn't know something that I found out when I was 25. I was autistic. I was socially autistic my entire life. No one knew about it.
Man.
No one
And then
even
wasn't
knew
really
about
a
what Asperger's
thing.
was.
Like nobody really knew about that back then.
Right.
Wow. And you had to go for years not really knowing what was going on. Wow.
Well, I had to go for years. Didn't know what was going on. And what was crazy was I hid away because of my school. My school allowed you to, if you did the work, you didn't have to come to class.
Makes sense.
Problem is, I didn't do the first one. I did do the second one. Didn't do the work. I just didn't come to class. So during those times, I would play role-playing games all afternoon, morning, night, didn't matter. We had a blast. But at the same time, it was on the same at the same time it was on it was kind of an introduction to story in a way. When you role play together with a group, you're doing an interactive story that you don't run, your friends don't run, but as the group you run it.
Right.
As a group you develop this story. And it's some of the elements that I took from and put it into these books. My characters don't do what I tell them to do. I make plans and they say screw you.
So that just happens like that, you know.
Right.
So did you ever think you was gonna be an author?
As
Like,
I said,
looking back
at
at
an early
things,
age,
you know.
I wanted to be. I mean, at 12, I wrote this masterpiece of Flock that on my Apple IIe, this thing that needed a 5-inch boot up disc just to start the thing before we put in the second disc to get the word processor working. And for any of those who remember the dot matrix printers, they're like 50 pounds. They have this corrugated paper, and it's the most annoying sound of
With the little holes on the sides. Yeah, we had those too.
Think of that with 600 pages worth of printing.
Oh my god.
And that's the schlock I put together. And then after reading it, even the first couple of pages, I just picked it up after writing it, took it out to the garbage, just dropped it in. It was so bad. It was so bad. But it was my first work. No one saw it but me. No one. I don't think I would have lived to this day if anyone did. I'd probably die of embarrassment.
You said before, me and you was talking one day, and you was telling me that you actually invented a game and had it made, and it was a horrible, or it wasn't a horrible game. It was just it didn't do very well.
Well, yes, when I tried to get into video game design school and it didn't, or I mean, when I tried to get into video games and it didn't work, I ended up having to go to I had to go to try to find a different avenue. Okay. And video games and card games are not too dissimilar.
No.
They're really not. So I came up with a couple designs. Some of them were amazing, but I couldn't afford the artwork. So they never happened. And other ones that did come out flopped because I didn't have a very good support structure. I honestly was doing my best with what I had, but I had people just agreeing with me, and that's not a good thing.
Right.
To get good artwork, you need people to be able to give you honest and hard criticism. If it sucks, people need to tell you it sucks.
Right.
But there is actually, speaking of that,
Oh, do you
I don't
have
have
one?
I don't have the letter here, but there's a 4-year-old out there who one of my decks made it to. And he loved it. And he wrote me a note. And I have it saved. And I look at it when I'm hitting that struggle. Because every time you do something in art, there's always some struggle.
Yeah.
But I look back to that 4-year-old who loved my card game, and I keep pushing on.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. All right, well, I think we're going to go ahead and leave it here. Aaron, we really appreciate you stopping in and talking to us and being on a part of the first episode of Pawco Tacos podcast. So we're really stoked to have you, man, and it's a blessing to have you in our community.
Thank you for having me, and if it's okay, I want to thank really special people for everyone who supported me. On top of, I have a group of publishers that are backing me called Twisted Souls Publishing.
Twisted Souls.
And they're amazing people. They are really amazing people. They go above and beyond, and I wouldn't be here without them. I really wouldn't.
That's what's up.
They mean the world to me.
That's what's up. It's always nice to have a backbone of people that believe in you, you know what I mean? So that's amazing. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and leave it here. If anybody in the chat has a question, please send it out before we let him go. Is there a message that the
there are messages in your DM.
Yeah. Is there a message you wish your readers to receive through the books? That's from Maggie.
I had a rough life. Not rough in what other people would consider rough, but I had a rough medical life. And there are people out there, friends, family, that struggle every day. And I wrote my books to remind people that no matter what you're going through, there's always someone who's there to protect you or watch your back, and you can get through it no matter what. I've personally dealt with depression, but because of good people. They always had my back. I got through it. Flint and his group gets through everything.
Right.
And hopefully their antics, their fun, and their silliness at times will help you get through those hard times.
And always believe in yourself.
Because if they can do it, you can.
Always believe in yourself. That's another thing that I've learned. Because even when other people are not believing in you, believe in yourself. Because sometimes that's all that matters.
Sometimes you got to just start with yourself. And that's a big part of book 1.
Yeah.
Flint has to make a choice.
Yeah.
It's either let other people do what he feels is he's responsible for, or he has to step out on his own and try to figure this out.
Trust himself. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I dig that. I think that's awesome. So we're gonna go ahead and leave it here. Hope you have an awesome night, man. We really appreciate you. Stop by my Discord and hang out with me, man. For real.
Oh, definitely, all the time. And if you see me on his Discord, I go by Aaron R, because it's just easier that way.
And on YouTube, he is Tall Aaron.
And on YouTube, it's Tall Aaron. Only because I'm 6'8". I mean, how else am I supposed to put that? I'm 6'8".
Right. So we appreciate you, man.